Hello and welcome. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Greenwich Light Sessions. This is your host Umar Khan, and I'm back with another session. And since we all know it's Friday, तो Friday होता है हमारा लिटरेचर या लिंग्विस्टिक डे, और आज हम लिटरेचर डे कर रहे हैं. एंड जो आज के ऑफ कोर्स बुक है, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग बुक. और अलिफ शफक इज द राइटर, द 40 रूल्स ऑफ लव, जो कि जलालुद्दीन रूमी के ऊपर बुक है. और उसके ऊपर आज हमारे साथ दो गेस्ट मौजूद हैं. इनफैक्ट एक मेरी को होस्ट हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, सुंदुस अनवार, जो काफ़ी आज माशाल्लाह खुश मोड में है. वी कैन सी ऑल दैट. सो ऐसे ही मुस्कुराती रहें, हंसती रहें. रियली गुड टू सी यू सुंदुस. कैसी हैं आप?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good. Thank you so much, Umar, for the wishes. And yes, this book is very, very special to me. I read it 5 years back when I was fighting off so many things in life, and I'm so happy to finally review it. And with my friend. That's the best part.
राइट. और हमारे साथ आज शो में कौन मौजूद है?
बिल्कुल हमारे साथ आज शो में है आमना इफ्तिखार शाह. आमना इफ्तिखार शाह is doing her masters in English linguistics from Greenwich University. She has her majors in IR as well. She is a student of CSS, soon to be inshallah, and she's an excellent debater when it comes to politics, which I have no clue about usually. So yeah, Amna for you all, and that's it.
Thank you.
How are you, Amna? How's everything?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me on the show. And obviously, as Sundar said, this book really, I just read it almost 5 years back exactly too. And it brings back a lot of memories when I just read it again for the show. And there's a lot to say, a lot to talk about.
Yes, definitely. If I take Amna's point forward, Umar, and if we talk about the book in itself, I would, before I start off, I want Amna to give Elif Shafak's little biography and little, about the author. So, Amna, would you start?
Yes, I would. Okay, so Elif Shafak has a history of writing because she has been writing novels since a very long time. She has also been a columnist and a public speaker. She's actually French born, and she writes fiction in both Turkish and English because of the fact that she has a huge audience that actually reads what she writes. At the age of 9, her parents got separated, so she lived with her mother and says that she has a very huge influence of a female role model over her. So, and it shows in her writing that she really, makes the female characters dominate at times and justify their professions, their careers, the way they, live, and the rationale behind their lives, actually. So she has lived in Turkey, UK, and the US, and that is why her writings usually, show a very multicultural theme, that which is usually very evident in most of her books. So she has written both fiction and non-fiction. So yeah, this is one of her 15 novels. One of the most appreciated ones.
One of the most appreciated one, and actually it's about more about finding yourself. It's about finding who you are as a person. Okay, so there was a comment when we actually uploaded this poster of 40 Rules of Love that the PM has also told everyone to read it. Why? I'll tell you why. There's always one part to the story जो सब सुन रहे होते हैं कि भाई प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने बोला है तो ऐसा क्या इसमें होगा, या usually अब एलिफ शफक के बारे में बोला जा रहा है. अब I don't know how much this is true. I haven't been in politics. I'm not a political person. कि एलिफ शफक said that you should be the democracy of Pakistan to Imran Khan. Maybe that's just a tweet. I don't know. But the whole idea behind Imran Khan, our prime minister, suggesting books to the youth is a very big, I would say, a step. None of the politicians have done this before. We should commend him for that. Number two, if he is showing you guys something, you can at least just look at it and see it from that perspective that he's looking for. He's looking at peace, he's looking at unity, he's looking at your own wisdom. When you find it how you find it, usually people in our society easily judge each other on the basis of color, greed, the status they have been living in. There's so many things that haven't happened. So my opinion towards it is, yes, you should read it. Why? Because you find your own voice. You find the calmness in yourself, the battles that you are fighting. let it be in your relationships, let it be in your personal life, in your professional life, in your own spirituality, you do find peace in it. Usually people are commenting on me, मुझे usually हर किसी ने ये बात बोली है कि सुन this 40 rules of love में तुमने सब क्या पढ़ा, like 40 rules of love से अगर आपको रूमी मिला तो क्या मिला? I would say कहीं ना कहीं से रूमी हमें मिल जाता है, because Rumi has a light in himself, like it's not something small. He's like a big encompass, और वो कहीं ना कहीं से इतना सा थोड़ा सा भी उसका पार्ट यूज किया हुआ हो इसमें, और जिस तरह से शम्स ऑफ तबरेज को इसमें उनके साथ यूज किया है, it's outstanding. It's beyond love, I would say. Usually हम लोग love stories पढ़ते हैं, we're like, oh so cute, I'm so moved by it. But when we talk about this particular book, it's not a love story, it's a companionship. It's about how two people are so involved at the same time. They're not actually you know in love. It's a different love. So I want Amna to talk about that because Amna had a very good point on Sufism, and I want you to talk about it, Amna, before we start off with the whole book.
Alright, so to begin with, honestly, मैं यहाँ पे एक चीज़ clear कर देती हूँ for the people who would read this. Personally, I have been reading Sufism for a very long time now, and this is not my first book on Sufism that I have read. But I personally say, and I personally do not recommend such books on the basis कि जब तक आप Sufism के fundamentals को understand नहीं करते, you can easily go astray, because somehow this has a matter that things always do not seem the way they look. I mean, in the sense that हर चीज़ वो नहीं होती जो वो apparently नजर आ रही. So there are people, there have been books, for example, I was talking to Sindhus some time back, and I told her that there is a book that I read that was by Professor Dr. Erkan Turkman. It is the teachings of Shams of Tabriz, and in which he has clearly stated that there are only discourses that have been recorded in history by the people who have actually recorded Shams, the discourses of Shams. And he says that I have excluded some of them because of the fact that people might not understand them clearly and they might pick a wrong way. So before you understand the basics, before you understand the fundamentals, please do not approach such things. So once you understand that, it will be very beautiful for you to learn. It will be a very beautiful journey. And as Sundar said, obviously, the companionship, it's not only the companionship, because obviously Allah has a very, very systematic way in which religion is always spread. And in a way when people can, eradicate their own vacuum, that which is inside. Because, there is always a war within that we're always fighting. So to calm that very thing, there are always teachers, there are always people who are directly linked to Allah, and that they help the people who are seeking help. So because of the fact that Shams came as a teacher, Rumi's teacher, because Rumi was a scholar, an Islamic scholar, he was not then a poet, and he was turned into a poet. And the beginning, Rumi himself said that it was very difficult for him to, write poetry and compose it. So Shams told him that it was very easier for him, and it will be easier for him after the teachings. And there were a lot of people who did not even understand their relationship, including Rumi's own son. And so yes, there is a lot to it, because Shams, being a person whom his father could not even understand, he was such a teacher who was born with this strange state. So I am reading. Do you mind if I read an extract? It's
No, please go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
All right. So that's by Professor Erkan Turkman, who says, when Shams was a child, he had a strange state, which even his father failed to understand. He would say to his son, "You are not mad. Then what kind of religion do you have?" So he said to this remark that you and I are like a hen with chickens, and I am an egg of a duck bred under the hen with other chicks. I can jump into the spiritual sea as I am an aquatic bird. If you have belonged to my kind, you could have done the same. So yeah, he was very different, and Shams, as a teacher, said that he, as a child, that he could see beyond the skies and beyond the earths. And no one understands this. because it's something that which is very beautiful in its own self, that a teacher who was always a teacher ever since childhood. So that is what brought out Rumi's light, and that which has obviously enlightened the rest of the world. So, yes.
Absolutely.
If I take Amna's point forward, Umar, and Jalaluddin Rumi was a huge name. He was a teacher. I'm extremely happy when I say that, because this profession is actually something that I'm falling in love with, even though I didn't thought of falling in love with teaching, but then again I'm falling in love with it. I'm so happy about it. And to point out the factors of his reading or his writing, he was usually writing in Persian, as we all know, and he was in the 13th century. So yeah, he had a lot of names, and his friendship with Shams is something that we all. It's so beautiful. It's something that मैं क्यों सबको बोल रही हूँ ये book पढ़ने के लिए, because you'll understand the true meaning of friendship. Friendship is not something that you abandon, something you just leave out, something because you just feel like that now you're not in that zone. So you're not going to be available for them. So I believe that it's pure. It's something that I don't think in this world we can ever get. That day, I remember Umar was telling me that we are all your friends and we'll always be there for you. So I was thinking of that, and I was looking at this book, and I was just thanking God that I have such good friends around me that stick to me, and they talk about things, and they don't leave me, or they don't, or we all don't leave each other. So it's something that. Why am I saying this about friendship so much? Because especially in university life, क्योंकि हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट्स से ज़्यादा बात कर रहे होते हैं, अभी यूनिवर्सिटी स्टूडेंट्स हम लोग को देख रहे होते हैं, तो we have seen friendships that are a little different, that are a little not loyal. So I think for all the people out there who believe that there are true relationships and we can find those relationships, so you should definitely read 40 Rules of Love. It turns out to be an excellent read for anyone who's just lost. So if I talk about the relationship in this book, basically it's about Ella and Aziz. I hope I'm saying the names right. If I'm wrong, Amna, please correct me.
No, no,
So,
you're right.
so yeah, I'm so sorry. So
It's a
we
horror.
yes. So both of them actually exchange emails. Ella is actually somebody who is in a relationship that is not what should I say, how a relationship should be. She has given up on her career. She's kind of fighting in the 40s. She's basically उसको इतना एजेड दिखाने का मतलब ये था, जो हम लोग अपने दिमाग में अपनी आइडियाज को लेकर और अपनी एज और अपने अचीवमेंट्स को लेकर इतने एग्जॉस्ट हो जाते हैं कि हम लोग प्रेजेंट मोमेंट को भूल जाते हैं. एंड आई थिंक दैट्स ट्रू, राइट मामना, के उसमें यही बात बताई गई थी कि शी लिव्स इन द पास्ट, शी लिव्स इन द फ्यूचर, शी इज नॉट इन द प्रेजेंट मोमेंट. So I think there's a huge part of how we as humans are even discussed, because हम लोग जब लिटरेचर की बात करते हैं तो हम लोग बहुत डीप चले जाते हैं. We take every single aspect, हम एक एक बात निकालते हैं, क्यों इतनी बड़ी एज थी, क्यों इतनी छोटी एज थी. Sorry for the background noise. So
Do you mind if I add a point?
yeah, sure, why not, right.
Okay, so my idea is कि somehow obviously वो time थोड़ा सा different था, ये time थोड़ा different है. हमने somehow as in general हमने एक बहुत materialistic approach की तरफ हम आ गए हैं, और हमने somehow ऐसा किया है कि we have somehow set an age limit, a pace, और जो कोई specific pace तक नहीं आता हम उसे as a failure consider करने लगते हैं, और हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि हर इंसान की अपनी capabilities हैं और शायद वो उस दूसरे इंसान से ज़्यादा केपेबल हो, सिर्फ उसकी पेस डिफरेंट है, और हम अपनी पेस भी कभी कभी अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर सकते, और जब हम नहीं करते तो फिर हम कॉम्प्लेक्सेस में आ जाते हैं कि शायद वी डोंट थिंक ऑफ आवरसेल्व्स एज capable of achieving something that is truly productive for everyone, for us and for everyone. So it does not matter if you're slow at life. No one is slow. Everything is right at the right time.
Exactly. Taking this forward and taking your point forward, Amna, let's talk about how much uh, the 14 rules themselves, uh, move you. I remember the most favorite rule of mine was when Shams was talking about a brothel, and he was talking about somebody who wanted to leave it, and she was like, "I'm so dirty." It's something like that. I'm so dirty, and uh, I
Exactly.
see myself as the most hated person, hated woman, because obviously for a woman, her biggest give in this life is to give herself, give her respect, and share intimacy with the person. And I would say it moves a woman to another level.
That's
She turns into something different. uh, the relationships or anything, not that. अगर कोई औरत forcefully इस शोबे में हो तो I don't think
that's
so.
true.
हम में से कोई
That's
भी
true.
imagine कर सकता है कि what she's going through or what pain they go through. I hope
Especially
everyone
when
can feel.
it's completely forceful, especially when she has no consent over whatever is happening to her.
Exactly. उस वक्त तो
Because
consent की
whatever
बात ही नहीं थी
happened
ना.
was none of her choice, because there were women in the brothel who, did it all by their own free will. And she was different because she wanted to leave the way and come to a clean path. But obviously she did not consider her worthy of until she met Shams anyway.
So if I take your point forward, Amna, and that definitely उसका consent की बात होगी, तो I don't think so, because 13th century के बारे में लिखना, और अभी भी अगर हम इस नॉवल की सबसे बड़ी बेस्ट बात क्या है कि जब ये नॉवल हमें इस सेंचुरी की औरत को दिखाता है और हमें उस सेंचुरी की औरतों के बारे में बताता है, इट्स showing us the same disarray they are in.
It's relatable.
It
It's
is
still as
it's
relatable as it
relatable.
was. That's
It is the biggest, I would say, loss for women, that we are still lost. We still need a man for our security, for our all that. और फिर उसके बाद उसी तरह से हमारी आप इज्जतदार हैं अगर आप एक अच्छे घर में शादी हुई भी है, आपका इतनी अच्छी जॉब करता है, और it's all that, and then it's all doing that. So basically, my idea of going forward with this novel is because I want women to especially see this change uh, that has been brought by Elif. She wanted to point out some major aspects. She wanted to talk about why is it always the same. ऐसा क्यों होता है कि एक औरत को किसी दूसरे रिलेशनशिप में होना पड़ता है just so that she can figure it all out. Why is another man brought into the circle so that she understands her true value? Why can she not understand it herself?
मैं यहाँ
Uh,
संदेश से एग्री करूँगा. You know why? Because
yeah,
this is
you
this
can.
is this is the thing that we have created through the society pressures. Me
So,
being a guy, call me a man, boy, a male, whatever. कहने का मकसद ये है कि किसी भी लड़की को, औरत को, आई डोंट थिंक कि इट इज़ नेसेसरी कि उसकी ज़िंदगी में कोई आदमी हो तो ही वो सक्सेसफुल या सेफ हो. आई नो अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रॉन्ग इंडिपेंडेंट वुमेन हु आर मच स्ट्रॉन्गर देन द मेल्स. आई नो मेनी फीमेल्स जो सोलली सिंगल हैंडेडली बहुत सारे मेल्स को सपोर्ट कर रही हैं और उनको चला रही हैं. आई नो many females जो एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इंडिपेंडेंट कैरेक्टर है जिनको देख के बहुत से मेल्स इंस्पिरेशन लेते हैं. तो दिस इज समथिंग दैट अ सोसाइटी हैज क्रिएटेड थ्रू प्रेशर्स. एंड मैं इस बात से डिसएग्री करता हूँ. एंड मैं यहाँ सारी फीमेल्स को कहूँगा कि अपने जहन से ये मेंटल ब्लॉक सोसाइटी के प्रेशर की वजह से निकाल दें कि जी कोई आदमी होगा तो हम सिक्योर होंगे. एक लड़की, एक औरत जब तक अपने खुद के जहन में अपने आप को स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं फील करेगी, वो अपने जहन के शैकल्स को नहीं ब्रेक करेगी, आई थिंक वो चाहे जिस भी सिचुएशन में हो वो कहीं ना कहीं सप्रेस्ड या कैप्चर्ड फील करेगी. तो दिस इज व्हाट आई बिलीव. एंड ये जनरली स्पीकिंग जो सोसाइटी हमारा, खासतौर पे हम अगर अपनी सोसाइटी की बात करें तो वो लोगों के प्रेशर, वो लोगों की बातें, चीज़ें आई थिंक
That's so true. That's
दिस इज समथिंग दैट लोगों के जहन पे एक चीज जो नहीं होती वो बिलीव करा देती है. So I think we
even
need to
even
get over that thought.
even Umar, if you see this, there are a lot of people who are in unhealthy relationships just because of the fact that the society would blame them so much if they decide for themselves, even for
True.
their own betterment. They would not
True.
let them leave it.
मैं सिर्फ एक बात कहूंगा, देखें जिंदगी के अंदर नेगेटिविटी से और टॉक्सिसिटी से दूर रहें. जो चीज
Exactly.
आपको आपकी मेंटल हेल्थ को डिस्टर्ब करे, आपको नेगेटिव फील दे, स्टे अवे फ्रॉम दैट. क्योंकि ये दुनिया बहुत बड़ी है एंड आप उसको किसी लोगों से, किसी मटेरियल से टाई कर देंगे तो आप हमेशा जो है ना नाखुश और परेशान रहेंगे. सो टाई योर लाइफ टूवर्ड्स गोल्स, ट्राई योर लाइफ टूवर्ड्स बेटर टुमारो. एंड लाइफ में गुड्स बैड्स हार्ड टाइम्स आते हैं, तो दैट इज नॉट अ परमानेंट टाइम. देखिए आपकी जिंदगी, आपके 2 कदम आपको सबसे बड़ा मैसेज देते हैं कि अगर मैं चल रहा हूं लाइक दिस, ऐसे, तो एक सेकंड मेरा एक कदम आगे, दूसरे सेकंड मेरा दूसरा कदम आगे, जो आगे था वो अगले सेकंड पीछे, और जो पीछे वो अगले सेकंड आगे. दैट इज लाइफ. टाइम नेवर स्टेज द सेम. तो
That's
हर टाइम में यू हैव टू हैंग इन देयर एंड अपने आप को प्रिपेयर करना है. और जब वंस द गुड टाइम इज देयर, सो लर्न फ्रॉम योर हार्ड टाइम एंड अवॉइड रिपीटिंग मिस्टेक्स. कमिंग बैक टू द बुक, ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सी चीजें रिफ्लेक्ट करती हैं. ऑफ कोर्स दैट्स द ब्यूटी ऑफ लिटरेचर, दैट हम जब बात शुरू करते हैं, वी कनेक्टेड टू आवर real life, the current social issues, the current things that are going around, especially आजकल what things are going around, तो वो काफ़ी entertainment है. At the same time it's also very saddening and ironic जो कुछ हो रहा है. But इस book की मैं थोड़ी interesting बात बताऊं. इस बुक की, क्योंकि मैं कुछ स्टैट्स, फैक्ट्स और कुछ पॉइंटर्स हमेशा शेयर करता हूँ इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर द रीडर्स. तो इस बुक की जिन लोगों ने पढ़ी है, बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात थी. 354 पेजेस की ये बुक है एंड इसका जो हर चैप्टर है वो स्टार्ट होता है लेटर बी के साथ. उसके पीछे अगर हम थ्योरी देखें या कॉन्सेप्ट देखें, तो अगर हम होली कुरान की बात करें, तो जितने जो हमारे सूराज हैं एक्सेप्ट फॉर सूरत तौबा, वो बिस्मिल्लाह रहमान रहीम से शुरू हो रही है. दैट इज द लेटर बी.
that's
अगर हम नोटिस करें, जिसका मतलब है दैट इन द नेम ऑफ अल्लाह हु इज द मोस्ट बेनिफिशिएंट एंड मर्सीफुल. और जो इसका वर्ड है बिस्मिल्लाह का फर्स्ट अल्फाबेट इज आल्सो बी. अब इसको अगर सूफीज्म में देखें, तो दैट सिंबलाइजेस द यूनिवर्स एज पर सूफीज्म थॉट्स. तो ये एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है इस बुक के हवाले से. देयर क्वाइट अ लॉट ऑफ फ्यू मोर जो मैं बिल्कुल शेयर करूंगा. बट अब लेट्स मूव टू आमना, बिकॉज आमना एंड सुंदस दोनों बड़ा कनेक्ट होते हैं इस बुक के साथ. हमारे साथ व्यूअर्स भी मौजूद हैं, कुछ कमेंट्स भी शामिल करते हैं. देन विल कंटिन्यू. इज्जत खान कहते हैं हाय ऑन द राइट टाइम doing my BS research, so now I'm on the literature review.
Wow, that is so cool. Thank you. I
सौम्या
hope I can help you out.
सौम्या के आने हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं. कहती हैं द बेस्ट 40 रूल्स ऑफ लव. कहती हैं सो मेस्मराइजिंग, टेक्स यू इन डेप्थ ऑफ अनदर वर्ल्ड. और दैट्स सो ट्रू. यही है, देखें लिटरेचर की हमने बात यही की कि व्हेन वी स्टार्ट टॉकिंग, बात कहाँ से कहाँ जाती है. एक किताब जो सालों साल पहले लिखी हो, कुछ किताबें सदियों साल पहले लिखी हो, आप उसको अपनी रियल लाइफ से, आज की लाइफ से कनेक्ट करते हैं, अपने करंट सोशल इश्यूज से, अपने पास्ट जो एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं उससे. एंड दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ लिटरेचर.
I would take your point forward, Umar, especially अगर I'll be a little थोड़ी सी religious हो जाऊंगी. I usually don't keep religion in terms of my conversations. I have kind of made this rule for my students as well and for myself as well कि मैं नहीं करूंगी. But then आपको it's so weird, especially जब हमारे religion की बात होती है और हम देखते हैं इस बुक में किस तरह से रूमी एंड शम्स दे टॉक अबाउट द लव ऑफ गॉड. इट्स मेस्मराइजिंग. जिस तरह सोम्या ने बोला ना, मैं लफ्जों में बयान नहीं कर सकती कि आप आप खुश हो जाते हो. You get so happy about your religion, and it's beautiful. It's something that I think that I cannot put my words to. मैं थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे वो start करूँगी थोड़ा सा poems का, because I'm a huge lover of Rumi poems, and this is the Divine Shams Tabriz wali poem. It says that, "Heart, I said, what a gift it has been to enter the circle of lovers, to see beyond seeing itself, to reach and feel within the breast." It's like वो जो आपको एक eternal feeling होती है ना, एक बिल्कुल complete feeling you get in your heart that this is something that I want. I feel this. So it, they talk about love so beautifully. It's something I would say we cannot put words to, and I would really want Amna to talk about it. And maybe she can you know talk
A
about the
point
same
that
poems or something.
I would love to say that obviously, um, the beauty that in which Rumi actually wrote after Shams taught him, and the way that we see it, and the way when we read it, uh, I have had. I started feeling a specific vacuum inside me, you know. So when I read this, and obviously I had been reading Sufism, and it had helped a lot, literally. And something that I literally loved in was when this very issue that's in this earlier talked about the harlot who was actually in the brothel and he actually wanted to leave the profession. So Shams actually, teaches us that professions don't, define people. They do not guarantee success. What is success is that when you have a very secure relationship with Allah, and when you once have that, the very vacuum inside you gets away. But there is another aspect to it that which is void, the absence, the presence of something in its own presence, in its own absence. So that very void helps you to understand nothingness, another aspect of Sufism. And nothingness brings such a peace inside you, honestly. Um, I was reading some of Shams's discourses earlier, and it's like, you need to torture your nafs a bit.
True.
Easy words में anyone can be a modern dervish in this very time, आप किसी भी तरह से अपने आप को उस तरफ लेके जा सकते, जो चीज़ आपको पसंद है, let it be, let it go for once. And honestly, you'll feel so peaceful at that very moment that you'll realize कि हाँ ठीक है, without this evil life goes on, and it is way more easier than it was before. So there are a lot of things. This book literally encompasses a lot of aspects. It's not only friendship. It's not only a teacher-student relationship. It's not only the Neoplatonic love. It helps us literally in everyday life, in everyday aspects, in everyday issues that we face. So yes, reading this would literally help. Sundas, can you please tell something about Rumi so that after that I have something to clarify, and I'll do that in the end. So I don't
Amna,
want.
you continue, and then we'll move towards on this.
Okay. I will. Okay. So there are some of the. I'm sorry.
I'm saying you continue, and then we'll move to Sundar.
Okay. All right. So there are some of the controversial points that I would like to discuss. There are a lot of people who either do not know a lot about Sufism, so they actually confuse the idea that Sufism opposes Sharia. Sufism just does not oppose Sharia at all. If you are not abiding by the Sharia, you can never be a Sufi anyway. One. Two, Shams himself said that Sharia is a boat in a sea, and the sea is Sufism. So if you want to become a Sufi, you will have to jump from the boat. So apparently, there were people there as well, because as we saw that Shams had, there are many different aspects as to which some people say that Shams was, murdered. Some people say that he went away and he was never seen again. So there are many misconceptions, but then again, it was a tragic end anyway, because of the fact that people did not understand uh, what his main purpose was. It was any way to connect to Allah. So my basic idea was that there is a major disagreement in this very regard, that people think that Sufism actually opposes Sharia. One. The other aspect I would like to discuss is that there are a lot of people say that Paulo Coelho is obviously a very famous Brazilian writer, and he gives a lot of his real life experiences. Obviously, and he wrote *The Alchemist*, one of the most famous of his writings. So there are people who say that Shafak challenges his dominance, and yes, she has challenged it in this very book. Uh, so yes, that in a very different manner, but yes, it has, so it has very beautiful aspects if we read it. So yes,
Yes,
and
if we
Shamsun
read
Sal
it,
says
and
that.
I am so sorry I'm cutting you out. If we read
No,
it, and I really want to talk about when they talk about the seven makamats in the
exactly.
book. I'm especially told, and the person who's listening to us for her literature review, this would really help you out. You should actually, talk about the seven makamats, because जिस तरह से बुक ट्रांसेंड करेगी, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि वो हर मकामात को दिखाते हैं उसमें, वो आपको उनकी प्रेजेंस दिखती है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल द फर्स्ट स्टेज इज द डिप्रेव्ड नर्व्स. आई एम सो सॉरी, मैं थोड़ा सा पढ़ रही हूँ बुक का स्निपेट, बट द फर्स्ट स्टेज इज द डिप्रेव्ड नर्व्स, the most primitive and common stage of being, that being that we don't know, we're confused. And then comes the ego abased, and then there are so many, the accusing nerves. And then I'm so sorry, I don't want to read this out, but then there's inspired nerves. And in the final, I think in the seventh stage, one attains the purified nerves and becomes insane kamil. This word is so pure in itself, and I don't think that any of us, I would, when Amna would look totally understand my point. Ke, I don't think so.
That's true.
Can we?
Hmm.
Can we ever like insane kamil? Like,
It's not easy.
no,
It's not easy.
it's impossible.
It's not.
A
It's
perfect
not
human
something
being.
that which is unattainable. It's not something that which is unattainable, but it's not easy for people like us. Honestly, it's not easy.
It's not. It's something. These stages along the path are easy to summarize, difficult to experience. इस तरह से book में लिखा गया है. मैं थोड़ा सा book का snippet इसलिए पढ़ रही हूँ because this book is really close to my heart, and usually मुझे सब मना कर देते हैं कि आप please book के बारे में नहीं बताएं. तो I'm so sorry अगर मैंने किसी को hurt करा हो कि मैंने book के बारे में थोड़ा बोल दिया. But then again, I just want to talk about that. This book is filled with a passion, a love. You don't have to be. It's not important to be a Muslim to read this book. It is just important to be a human, an understanding
That's
human. One of the rules, even they are actually, if I take out the rules, उसमें लिखा हुआ था that you don't have to. I'm a human. A Muslim, a Hindu, all that. I don't take that in mind. You have to be a human first.
And
And
the thing is that language becomes completely obsolete when the hearts connect. So there is nothing more important when there is a connection. That is way more important
मैं
than
भी यहाँ
language.
एक डिस्क्लेमर देना चाहूंगा कि हमारे आज के ज़माने में जितने हमारे यंगस्टर्स हैं, हमारे जितने निब्बा निब्बीज हैं, जितने माय बेबी ने खाना खाया वाले लोग हैं, यार रूमी को समझें, उनको पढ़ें, उनको एक्सप्लोर करें. उन्होंने खुदाई के लिए और खुदा के लिए शायरी की थी और अपना लव एक्सप्रेस किया था. उसको अपने टीनेज ब्रेकअप से लिंक ना करें सोशल मीडिया पे. रूमी इज वे बियॉन्ड ऑल ऑफ आवर इमेजिनेशंस. हम जितना पढ़ के जितना बोल लें कि हमने उन्होंने ये कहा, उन्होंने वो कहा, हम उस लेवल पे नहीं पहुंच सकते. सूफीइज्म का वो लेवल था जो आज जाके लोग उसके ऊपर अपने थीसिस कर रहे हैं, पीएचडीज कर रहे हैं. आने वाली सदियों में भी रूमी एक्सप्लोर ही होते रहेंगे, but no one will be able to understand what
Umar,
level.
if we talk about this for once, Masnavi is, after the Quran and the Hadith, the third most authentic book. So even when we read it, it's something that which, even if you read it for the 100th time, you'll get something new.
Right. और हमारे
only if you want to understand.
बिल्कुल. इनफैक्ट जो हमारे जितने लोग हैं जिनको मैं हमेशा इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट शेयर करता हूं, तो लेट मी टेल एवरीवन कि जो जितने लोगों ने अभी लॉकडाउन में अर्तुगरुल देखा है और उससे बड़े इंस्पायर्ड हैं, तो जलालुद्दीन रूमी उसी टाइम एरा के हैं. ही पास्ड अवे इन 1273 इन कोनिया. और जो अर्तुगरुल में आपने देखा कि अर्तुगरुल भी अपने बच्चों को कोनिया भेजता है पढ़ाई के लिए. स्कॉलर्स बड़े मशहूर हैं. ऑल्दो उसमें बहुत अडेप्टेशन है, अर्तुगरुल में ट्रू हिस्ट्री नहीं है. तो जो इब्ने बिन अरबी दिखाए हैं वो एक्चुअली 11th और 12th सेंचुरी से थे और वो एत्रगुल से असली लाइफ में नहीं मिले। तो पॉसिबल है कि जो रूमी का कैरेक्टर है वो दिखाया गया है। बट देन अगेन इब्ने अरबी की बहुत सी बुक्स एत्रगुल ने लाइफ में पढ़ी थी। बट देन अगेन कहने का मकसद ये कि कोनिया वाज द हब ऑफ स्कॉलर्स, रिसर्चर्स, और इस ये एक इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट है कि एत्रगुल इन रियल लाइफ वाज फ्रॉम द सेम टाइम ऑफ जलालुद्दीन रूमी।
That's true.
I'm going to share some rules over here, and I want you all to talk about them because I believe कि मुझे बड़ा मजा आता है जब मैं 40 rules of love में कि 40 rules discuss करती हूँ because if I tell you about my geekiness or my nerdness, when I was reading this book, I remember I had a separate copy and I used to write down the rules, rule number one,
I
rule
have
number
done the
two,
same.
rule
Yes.
number three. I was so obsessed. So my level of this book's love is to a different level. Usually people won't like it, so what to do? But then, so there is a very very important thing that is in this book about the rules that there are more fake gurus and false teachers in this world than the numbers of stars in the visible universe.
That's true.
Don't confuse power-driven, self-centered people with true mentors. A genuine spiritual master will not direct your attention to himself or herself and will not expect absolute obedience or utter admiration from you. But instead, they will help you to appreciate and admire your inner self. True mentors are transparent as glass. They let the light of God pass through them. It's such a huge thing. आजकल हम लोग सबसे बड़ा हम लोग कहते हैं ना हमारे दीन में और अब अगेन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिलीजन बट देन अगेन हमारे दीन में बहुत बड़ी बात ये की जाती है कि मशवरा कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है सूरह असर में हम लोगों को फोर्थ पार्ट बताया जाता है कि दीन का एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है जो कंप्लीट होता है दैट इज व्हेन यू गिव अ राइट मशवरा तो for me as a teacher, for me as an educationist, I believe this is such a big moment for me to discuss this to all those students out there. Okay, please don't go with the trends just because you feel like that some people are following it or some people are in power and they can set it for you and you have to work it out. Make your own journey, make your own life, make your own settings. If you feel like कुछ गलत है तो वो गलत है अगर आपके बाउंड में वो गलत है it is wrong. It's not important. It's not supposed to be imposed on you. And a mentor, a teacher, would never impose his or her thinkings on you. And if I take another one over here, and I'm so sorry, you guys, but I'm a little driven away. It's easy to love a perfect God, unblemished and unfallible that He is. What is far more difficult is to love fellow human beings with all their imperfections and defects. Remember, one can only know what one is capable of loving. There is no wisdom without love. Unless we learn to love God's creation, we can neither truly love nor truly know God.
That's true.
Resembling the creation of the God to the love of God. जैसे कहते हैं ना कि जब तक तुम में इंसानों की मोहब्बत नहीं होगी तुम्हें मेरी मोहब्बत नहीं हो सकती तो this is something that is very very big in this world. We are forgetting the meaning of humanity. We are judging people. We are calling each other names. We are ridiculing everyone. किसी की कोई गलत पिक्चर दिख जाती है सब उस पर हंसने लगते हैं कोई गलत शो आ जाता है आप सोचते नहीं है कि लोगों को कैसा लग रहा होगा you mess it all up.
सिर्फ एक वर्ड एक सेंटेंस में डिफाइन करूंगा if you want humanity to prevail we all have to be empathetic. Empathy हमें चाहिए. Empathy जब तक
We
नहीं हो
lack empathy in general. Yes.
we have to understand each other rather than judging anyone or passing comments. Just try and walk into their shoes and then just think for a minute that if you were going through the same, how would you react? And when people will act and behave that way, how would you feel? तो आपका बिहेवियर, आपका एटीट्यूड, आपकी हर चीज चेंज हो जाएगी. एंड मैं सिर्फ एक छोटी सी बात करूंगा. सिर्फ कमिंग अभी मैं रेडियो से घर तक आया, रास्ते में मुझे सिग्नल पे 4 लोग मिले. हर इंसान का उनसे डिफरेंट रिएक्शन होता है. जरूरी नहीं कि आप किसी को कुछ दें. आप सिर्फ एक स्माइल के साथ उनको अच्छी एक सेंटेंस बोल दें और उनके चेहरे पे मुस्कुराहट आ जाए. पूरा दिन एक टफ डे के बाद दिल गो बैक विद अ स्माइल. So all it needs is a good thought, all it needs is caring. मैंने आज सिग्नल पे नोट किया कि एक इंसान ने उसी बराबर में कहा कि यूं सर पे उतारा और बोल ये लो सदका. The boy was telling hours. He was a student from a good family. एक मुश्किल सिचुएशन की वजह से वो इस मजबूरी पे आया. तो even if you're helping anyone, don't make them feel low. क्योंकि आपकी वो हेल्प जाया हो जाती है. It's like
That's almost inhuman. That's completely
exactly.
inhuman.
So, please, if you want to help people, help them with all your heart, with a smile, not because कि आप इंसान के पास कुछ नहीं होता है. इंसान लिटरली जिस दिन ये समझेगा कि वो कितना पावरलेस है, तो जब रूह निकल जाती है, he needs other people to bury him. ये इंसान है, ये उसकी हकीकत है, ये उसकी असलियत है. तो
अगर हम सिर्फ इतना रियलाइज कर लें कि अल्लाह ताला अपने हुकूक माफ कर देंगे, इंसानों के हुकूक तब तक माफ नहीं करेंगे जब तक वो इंसान खुद माफ ना कर दे. अगर हम सिर्फ इतना रियलाइज कर दें, क्योंकि हमारी अपनी जब तक हम जिंदा है हमें इतनी ईगो होती है कि हम किसी इवन अगर हम गिल्टी भी फील करें तो हम सॉरी नहीं कहते. ये बहुत एक बेसिक सी बात है. Someone said this happened some time back, and someone was criticizing the other person for saying sorry, and I literally said कि if I would have been at that very place, शायद मैं sorry ना कहती. सिर्फ मेरी शायद ईगो सब बीच में आ जाती और मैं कहती even though I am feeling hurt, guilty, लेकिन मैं sorry नहीं कहती. मैंने कहा that very person is brave enough, has morals कि उस इंसान ने अपनी गलती सबके सामने accept की और sorry किया.
राइट. इसमें मैं एक चीज और ऐड करूंगा. देखिए, सिंस वी टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पिरिचुअलिटी एंड लव विद गॉड, आई विल टेल समथिंग जो एक आप लोग बताइएगा कितना इस चीज से कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. आपकी ईमान, योर ईमान इज लाइक अ फ्लाइट. द हायर यू गो, यू रियलाइज हाउ स्मॉल दिस वर्ल्डली थिंग्स आर. कि आप एक गाड़ी, एक ट्रक देखते हैं जो आपके सामने बहुत बड़ा लगता है, बट आप जब एक फ्लाइट में होते हैं तो इट लुक्स स्मॉलर देन एन एंट. और ज्यादा हाइट पे चले जाएं तो दिखता भी नहीं, लगता है कोई नुक्ता है. तो कहने का मकसद ये है कि इफ यू वॉक ऑन दिस पाथ ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी एंड यू फाइंड द ट्रू मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ, द लव फॉर द ऑलमाइटी, यू विल रियलाइज कि जिंदगी का मकसद क्या, और मूड हर वक्त अच्छा रहेगा. नो मैटर आप किस सिचुएशन में हैं, नो मैटर आपके साथ क्या बीत रही है, आप कितने टफ टाइम्स में हैं, आपके पास मैंने लिटरली ऐसे लोगों को देखा है जिनके पास पैर नहीं है, वो रोड पे गर्मी में, धूप में, खौलती हुई जमीन पे अपने आप को घसीटते हुए जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उनके चेहरे पे मुस्कुराहट है और वो कहते हैं शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. तो हम किस बात पे नाशुक्री करते हैं. तो इट्स ऑल अबाउट रियलाइजिंग व्हाट यू हैव, उस चीज के लिए थैंकफुल हो. और अगर अल्लाह ने आपको नवाजा है तो कोशिश करें कि आपकी ज़ात से, भले मटीरियल से नहीं तो आपकी ज़बान में इतना असर हो, इतनी मिठास हो कि अगले का मूड सिर्फ आपके आसपास रह के ही ठीक हो जाए. And we can go on, but since we're running out of time, Sundus and Amna will move towards your final thoughts and your final words on this topic today. So Amna, आपसे start करेंगे. How would you like to summarize the whole thing today?
I would love to summarize this in a way कि please ज़रूर पढ़ें, लेकिन please पहले fundamentals जान लें, उसके बाद आप सूफीज़म के रिगाज में जो भी पढ़ना चाहते हैं ज़रूर पढ़ें. It's a very good book and it encompasses all the aspects of life. आपके डेली मंडेन अफेयर्स से लेके आपकी वॉर विदिन तक ये सारे इश्यूज के लिए काफी हेल्प.
Right. Sundus, you're a big fan of this book. What would you like to say?
I would just say read it for your own voice. Read it for when you are down and there is no clarity in life. And just read it for Rumi, I would say. Just read it because Rumi and Shams, they're like मैं कह रही हूँ ना, इतनी एक्साइटमेंट, इतनी खुशी है मुझे. देन अगेन मेरे लव्स कम पड़ रहे हैं बताने में कि इट्स एन एक्सीलेंट बुक. Read it out just so that you understand that what love is and how you should actually have love around.
और जहाँ लव की बात हुई तो लव इज अ फीलिंग, अ इमोशन दैट इज फेल्ट, दैट इज एक्सपीरियंस. तो हमारे आज के ज़माने में जहाँ हम लव को एक्सप्लोर और एक्सपीरियंस करने की जगह जो किताबों में पढ़ा है, जो फिल्मों में देखा है, जो गानों में सुना है, उससे रिलेट करके कनेक्ट करते हैं, और जब रियलिटी चेक मिलता है तो हम कहते हैं यार ये तो बड़ी अजीब सी चीज़ है. मैं एक बड़ी सिंपल चीज़ कहता हूँ कि if you say you love someone, you can never unlove or hate a person. If you do, that was never love, because love with time बढ़ता है. इसकी एग्जाम्पल प्योरेस्ट फॉर्म ह्यूमन लव के अंदर इज रिलेशन बिटवीन अ मदर एंड चाइल्ड, कि वो विथ टाइम इट जस्ट, मैं कह रहा हूँ लव ऑफ मदर फॉर द चाइल्ड, चाइल्ड फॉर मदर नहीं. जो माँ का प्यार
Exactly.
बच्चे के लिए होता है वो अनकंडीशनल लव है, जो विद टाइम फिर होता जाता है. लेकिन बच्चे का प्यार जो माँ के लिए है वो वैसा नहीं होता. तो
That's true.
सुंदर कैन कनेक्ट
That's
चीज हमारे, एंड जितने हमारे व्यूअर्स हैं जो ये चीजें जानते हैं वो कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं इस चीज से. तो प्लीज इन चीजों को समझें. और लव की जहाँ तक बात है उसको एक्सपीरियंस करें. वो एक फीलिंग है जो जी जाती है, यू लिव इट. सुनी सुनाई बातों पे, कहानियों पे, किस्सों पे ये दिमाग में इमेजिनेशन या इमेज नहीं बताएं कि प्यार ऐसा होगा, क्योंकि जब रियलिटी चेक लगेगा तो बहुत तकलीफ होगी, दुख होगा और प्यार से नफरत हो जाएगी. तो प्यार बहुत अच्छी चीज है, बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग है. गलत और बिटर एक्सपीरियंसेस की वजह से डोंट टर्न अगेंस्ट लाइफ, डोंट टर्न अगेंस्ट लव. लव इज ब्यूटिफुल until unless you find that true love. लेट इट बी विद लाइफ. मैं सिर्फ रिलेशनशिप्स की बात नहीं कर रहा. सबसे पहली चीज है लव योर सेल्फ. बी कंफर्टेबल इन योर ओन स्किन. लोगों
true.
की जजमेंट, लोगों के कहने से अपनी डेस्टिनी, अपना फ्यूचर, अपने आप को ना डिफाइन करें, क्योंकि सिर्फ आप खुद को डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. तो सबसे पहले खुद को जानें, खुद को एक्सप्लोर करें एंड लव योर सेल्फ, बिकॉज इफ यू कांट लव योर ओन सेल्फ, हाउ डू यू एक्सपेक्ट एनीवन एल्स टू लव यू? So that's all I'd
I
like to
would,
say. Thank
I
you so
would, I
much.
would be the one to. Can I do the extra this time, Umar? If
Okay.
it's okay for you.
लेकिन मैं उससे पहले
Uh,
आमने एक्सपीरियंस पूछूंगा, फिर आप एक्सप्लोर कर लेगा. So Amna,
बिल्कुल
you're
बिल्कुल.
here yet again on our live sessions in literature show. How was your experience this time?
It was very good because it brought back a lot of memories. And obviously, being there, I have shared this book with Sundus before as well. So, yeah, being with my friend there was way more easier for me as well. So, it was really good. Thank you.
And thank you for taking our time and being part of live sessions. Sundar, over to
No
you.
problem.
Thank you so much. Umar, you have been very kind. I'm just going to give you 1 minute for this. I know you were not expecting this, and you usually don't like us doing this, but you've been very kind and you have introduced literature in a whole different way. Your live shows are coming to an end, but it doesn't mean that we're not getting, we're going to let you go. And I am so thankful to you that you have given such a big platform to us to speak about how we have learned and what we have gotten by these shows. So thank you so much. I This was a little thank you that was overdue, and that was supposed to be done way before as well. And I would end this show with this really beautiful poem,
ये
and I want
end
you all to.
मैं सुंदर से एक चीज बताऊं. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट काइंड जेस्चर. बट ये लाइव सेशंस का एंड नहीं है. दिस इज जस्ट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू. ये एक पैंडेमिक के अंदर हमने लाइव सेशंस ऐसे घर से बैठ के किया था. सो वील बी बैक इन अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्गर वे, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग वे में, बहुत अच्छे गेस्ट के साथ, एक
Yes,
बहुत
Shana.
प्रोफेशनल मैनर के अंदर हम बहुत जल्द आएंगे. लिटरेचर शोज का एंड नहीं हो रहा. सिर्फ जो लाइव सेशंस पैंडेमिक में हमने शुरू किए थे उसको हम संडे में एंड कर रहे हैं, और हमारे लाइव सेशंस चलते रहेंगे एक डिफरेंट तरीके से, एक बेटर फॉर्मेट के साथ. थोड़ा आप लोगों को भी जो इंटरेस्ट करेंगे, अट्रैक्ट करेंगे. जो हमारी एक कोशिश शुरू हुई है, तो दिस इज नॉट द एंड, दिस इज जस्ट द बिगिनिंग, एज आई से.
Yes, inshallah, Umar. And but then again, the thank you is always overdue, so I had to do it. And so I'm just gonna leave you guys with this great quote. This is like this Rumi, and it's from Coleman Barks' collection that he collected from Rumi's poems. Last night you left me and slept your own deep sleep. Tonight your turn, you turn and turn. I say you and I will be together till the universe dissolves. You mumble back things you thought of when you were drunk. That's all. Thank you so much. I want you to ponder on this. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming for the literature review. This was us with 40 Rules of Love. If you want us to have any other new literature reviews, any book that you want us to review, we will read it. We will review it for you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Amna. Thank you, Greenwich University, for giving us this amazing platform. And everyone, stay safe and stay kind. Allah Hafiz.